guys, how's it going? 51 Chevy, yeah. So the cab is back on the frame as per the last video. So now I want to clearance out my transmission so I can make a tunnel up for it. And also my brand new fuel tank came in today. So we may get started on, framing in something to mount that with. And yeah, we might as well just get right to it, man. Okay, so this is what we got a clearance down here, and you can see that hole down there is almost right at the top of where the transmission mounts. So, and I can see what I'm doing from inside. So I've already marked a line, basically. It's going to follow that shape. I don't think we have to go as far as I drew my line. I'm just taking a peek here. I'm going to take a look at the tranny. Anyway, that's basically where I'm going to be cutting. Just depends on how far. So it comes down, there's the peak at the center. So you got 1, 2 bolts. So yeah, I'm going to have to come down about 10 inches, I guess. Yeah, that's first bolt is here, so the second one will be down around here somewhere. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut some of this out and open it up. I'm going to nibble at it. I don't want to cut too much out and have too big of a tunnel. So yeah, I'm going to hack away at this for a little bit, and I'll come back and show you what I got. Okay, so this is pretty much what I've hacked out. Now this corner here, that's part of the hole that was already originally there, so I can fill that in after. But you can see, basically, I might even have to come a little bit further here. The other side looks pretty good. So yeah, and this is just the original tranny pan. I might build off of this. So, I already unscrewed it and everything. So, really, the easiest way I think is to put the transmission in and build around it. Because, it's sloped and angled and curved so many different directions. The the number of measurements will drive you crazy. I think it's quicker to just put it in place and, build around it. I mean, if you see it tapers in, it slopes down, and then the floorboards themselves are sloped this way. So it's a whole bunch of measurements. By the time I measure it all, figure it all out, I'll have this thing in and it'll be easy. So I think I'm just going to put it in. So yeah, once I get the transmission in, I'll come back and we'll start closing her up. Okay, so the transmission's in. Now, it appears that I have cut out a little bit more than I needed to, but it's not bad. And when I put a straight edge down this level, I can still get my fingers here underneath between the floor and the transmission. So we're good, flat, right up to this little edge or rib here. And then it starts to come up a little bit. But it's going to be a pretty small hump, if you will. I mean, this here isn't a whole lot higher than the floor level, so it's going to be pretty mild, which is what I wanted. I didn't want to screw up legroom too much, especially if, he's driving a truck around and you got your grandkids with you. You want to have legroom for that person in the middle of the seat. So, yeah, we're not hurting on legroom at all. So I've got a pattern for the flat part here. It's already been hacked up. This is the original. Damn, I sold the 49 Chevy and I threw in the transmission cover. I should have kept it. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty much just a flat panel. I'll make it out of something a little heavier gauge. Maybe something like I did with the covering up the old battery hole. That's 1/8 plate, so it's good and heavy. I might do the same thing here and, use the same holes and then build off of that and just build my little hump on there, and yeah, it'll be all closed in, good to go. So yeah, I'm gonna get on that right now, or not right now, probably after supper, because I'm starving. Anyway. Okay, so I had supper. I'm good now, and you know, I was just relaxing a little bit after supper, had a coffee, and I was looking over my fuel tank, and I noticed something, and this kind of pissed me off. So I ordered this thing from Rock Auto. You know, shipped to me out of Texas at a crazy, you know, crazy shipping price with exchange and everything else. And then I noticed this. It's made here in Canada. Unbelievable. Why couldn't I find it in Canada? If it's made here, I should have been able to get it from here. Unbelievable. Anyway, so I also cut out my plate. Like I said, it's heavy gauge stuff, you know, so it's solid. And now I just have to build off of here. I think I'm going to use maybe some, I got some 5/16 round bar. I'll make kind of a little cage up, and then I can pull it out, sheet it all in. And then after, I'll close in any of these little corners from the outside. But I'll take the cab off to do that. Like I said, this cab's going to be off of this thing 3, 4, 5 times. So, no biggie. Yeah, and then I got a few other holes to fill. It's just in the toe board section and down here, this piece. And yeah, that's about it. So, yeah, I'll get out some 5/16 round bar, and I'll show you where I'm going with that. Okay, so here's my thinking. I'll take this round bar, and I'll weld it to the plate here, and, you know, just tack it in here and here on both sides. Then I'll take this piece here, and I'll sort of just kind of like frame it in, and, you know, fill in a couple more pieces around here maybe. I want to make this bubble or bump as small as possible. So I got a few more pieces to cut, but I'm going to go ahead, clean this all up, clean the rust off and everything, get it to good shiny metal for welding, and tack it all together. And then after, I'll just have to close it in with some sheet metal. And I'll probably close it in top and bottom, and then I'll just have to clean up the little corners and stuff that I can get when the cab is back off the chassis. So while I was doing this, I was thinking about shifters, and I've got a couple. I'm going to set up the camera, and so I can show you what's going on with them. Okay, so I got this B&M. It's an old school ratchet shifter. I can't remember where I got it, but I think it was in a Buick Skylark or something that I had. Anyway, this is, you know, pull a lever, get it down to drive, and then it just ratchets down to the lower gears. And also, there we go, ratchets back out of them, and you're in park. Anyway, there's two disadvantages to this one. It's a cable, for one thing, and the cables, I got an extra about 3 feet here, so I'd have to shorten it, because I've only got distance from the shifter to the transmission about maybe 8 inches. And this is the base for it, so it's a big bulky thing. It takes up a lot of floor space. But I also have, let me adjust the camera. I'll try and carry it over there without making a huge disaster. There we go. So this one, this is a low car shifter. That's the brand name. And it's pretty simple. I got this at a swap meet. I believe it came out of a Mopar. And this one here has just got a simple lever on it. So when you press the button, it'll come out of park. That stops in neutral. And then turns on to the other 3 gears. So I think this will be a lot easier to hook up a linkage for. I was going to use this in my 50 Ford pickup truck, but I think it'll suit this one better, and maybe I'll throw that B&M into my truck. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with this one. And these things are really pricey to buy new. I got it for a pretty good price, so yeah, I think we'll use that. Okay, so that's my sort of caged in area. And you can see, this will pretty much be flat here, and then it'll start coming up. So it's going to be a very, very slight bump. So yeah, so now I can pull this out and finish welding that up, sheet it all in. And I've also marked, I don't know if you can see the line, basically where my shifter's going to go. So I'm going to have to cut a notch in this plate here to allow for the shifter lever to, travel back and forth. So I'll figure that out on the bench, and we'll get all that done and show you what I end up with. Okay, so my little cage, if you will, is all welded in. Welds are cleaned up. So I'm just going to set the camera up here in more of a steady position. There we go. Now, I'm ready to sheet it in. I've tapered these down, so that there's not a big lump here. When I go to sheet it in, I'll tie the sheeting in around here where it's been cleaned up. And we'll do it in a couple of pieces, up to here, and then we're going to shoot up and finish it off. The reason I'm doing it this way, I don't have an English wheel and all that stuff, and to bend up and get all these curves, it's a lot easier to frame in something like this and build off of that. Now, before I even start closing this in, though, I want to determine exactly where my shifter is. And I've already drawn a line here, so I know that that's the outside edge. So we're going to put this here like so. That's pretty much it right there. Go a little bit. Yeah, so there, that's where it's going to be, basically. So I need to do a slot here, back here a little bit, about 2 inches, I think, should do it. So that this arm has room to go back and forth. So I know that that's where it's going to be. I'll take my square. So I'll mark these 2 marks right here, like so. And we'll just mark a couple of then I'll figure out this distance and shortly. I want the shifter to be as close forward as possible so I don't end up having to come back and hit the seat. So, yeah, I think probably right about there. It's going to do the trick. So I'm going to say this is center, and I'm going to go an inch each way, and that should give me enough room for that thing to swing back and forth. So I'm going to cut that in, and we'll get this thing figured out, and then I can sheet it all in. Okay, so you can see where I notched it. So give this arm some room. I even mounted it, bolted it in place, and yeah, so I'll show you how it works. Let's bring the camera down here a little bit. So right now I'm in park. That's neutral. Drive. Yeah. Pretty slick. Simple, clean. I just used carriage bolts underneath. I'm going to weld them, so these will essentially be studs. And I can take this off, sheet this in, and we're good to go. So yeah, I like it. Pretty simple, simple deal. Okay, so I figured I'd cut the most complicated piece first because I have to notch around bolts and stuff. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to burn that in, maybe go to time lapse, and then I'm going to finish off the rest. It'll be another piece mirror image over here, and then I don't know if I'm going to get this in one piece or two. Doesn't really matter. But we'll burn this in on time lapse, and then we'll see how that looks, and we'll go from there. little bike stand here. Should represent pretty close to the seat height that I'm going to have. Yeah, it'll be just fine. I like it. Right on. Excuse me. So, anyway, so there's one piece that's pieced in. I'm not going to bother showing the rest, but I'm going to get it sheeted in. I think I'm going to wrap this this video up shortly, but quite happy with the placement. And you know, this is still basically like floor. It's, you know, it's got a little bit of a rise to it, but very little. So it really, it's going to be hardly any kind of hump at all. So once I get that all sheeted in, I can sheet it underneath, and then I can, you know, pretty much tack it in place, and we'll be good to go. So yeah, no issues here at all. Quite pleased. So there you go. That's how I did my tranny tunnel. I might have made a little work for myself. It's a little bit complicated, rather than just, you know, banging in a chunk of metal and you know, bending it over your knee and all that there, and then just trying to hammer it away and bend it so it covers the transmission and whatever, weld it in. I like something nice and solid, and yeah, that's going to be good and solid. And I got my shifter knocked off at the same time, which is bonus. You know, a lot of times guys will put them in after, and you know, you're under the truck and you got to drill up and measure and all kinds of crap. So much easier on the bench, or you know. So yeah, and I'm quite happy with where it's located, and you know, the reach and everything else. It's all good. So quite pleased with that. And yeah, I had a lot going on in the last week or so, man. You know, I didn't get a video out Sunday. The 54 5-window cab and the 49 5-window cab both sold. So, you know, I had to load guys up with that stuff. A good buddy of mine was moving away, so I had to say goodbye. You know, I've been knowing the guy for 45 years, one of my best friends. And good luck, Dean. Moved out to Newfoundland. Yeah, great guy. Yeah, and then I gave my buddies a hand. They were doing some rocker panels on an 011 Dodge Ram, rusty truck. You know, so I just kind of pointed them in the right direction. I'm glad I wasn't actually doing the work. Oh, I did. I think I cut in 2 cab corners. That's it. So just to kind of line them up. But anyway, they're done that job, by the way. They did a good job. So, but they swore never ever do it again. I said, well, imagine me, man. I do it every day. So anyway, new subscribers, again, thank you. And you know, keep up the good work. Spread the word. Tell your buddies. Tell your chums, man. That's how word's getting out there. And the channel is definitely growing. So you know, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. And yeah, you know, if you don't do anything else, get out in the garage and build something, man. Later, guys.